Hello, everyone. I'm Joe Francella. I am the Corporate Communications Director for Absolute Security, and I'm joined this morning by our Chief Product Officer, John Herrema. John, hello.
Hey Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us for a few minutes to talk about this fantastic quarter that Absolute Security just wrapped. During the time, we announced a lot of new stuff, new products, partnerships, global growth. And I think one of the most exciting things was the GA of Rehydrate. Tell us a little bit about this innovation and why it's critical to the market right now.
Yeah, definitely. So what's interesting about Rehydrate is about a year and a half ago, um, we started thinking about, how do we leverage this amazing position we have in of being embedded in the firmware of over 600 million devices. Um, how can we leverage that to help customers, recover from a situation where the operating system of that endpoint is either crashing, corrupted, or compromised, and that could be an IT incident, it could be some faulty software, it could be, unfortunately, maybe a ransomware attack. And so you're stuck in a situation where all the normal tools you would use to try to, correct and bring yourself back out from that situation and remediate and bring that device and that the user of that device back to a fully productive state, they're not available to you. And so we kind of challenged ourselves and said, hey, is there something that we could do, leveraging that firmware position we have, the fact that we can come up pre-boot without having to actually have the operating system be running? Is there something we could do at that stage to allow folks to apply any type of remediation that they might need, from a surgical repair, could be just removing a corrupted file, all the way to possibly bringing that device back down to bare metal and fully restoring it to a trusted image. And so we whiteboarded that out about 18 months ago, started doing the work, and we were really excited. Earlier in the year, we released it to our customer base from a tech preview standpoint, got amazing feedback, incorporated that into the product, and we were really excited to actually announce the general availability of Rehydrate in this quarter. And it's just been awesome to see the reception from the customers, and we really appreciate those that worked with us through that tech preview phase to really harden the product and come up with new and interesting use cases. So it's just been really cool to see how that journey has evolved over the last 18 months or so.
That is super exciting stuff. I know there's a lot of excitement around the company around it. There's a lot of buzz around it on social media and in other places. So it's something that folks are really resonating with. One of the things that's really becoming important, right, in the world of cybersecurity today is resilience. We see a lot of that going on. It means a lot of things to a lot of different people. At Absolute Security, we're really homing in on what that means from a stopping downtime perspective. And we're talking about that more and more. Can you talk a little bit more about what it means when Absolute Security says we stop downtime?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're ultimately resilient, what that means is you have as close to zero downtime as possible. And so if you had zero downtime from any incidents, anything happening in your environment, you would be literally infinitely resilient. And so the way we think about that is that, well, what can we do to actually, have customers have as close to zero downtime as possible? And we really look at that through kind of two main phases. One, before any incident occurs, how do I make sure that that endpoint I'm operating on is, first of all, fully patched, fully remediated against everything that is known? And so we have a wonderful set of capabilities with our Resilience for Automation product to automate and resiliently execute on patching and remediation of all the stuff that we already know is out there. And it's amazing, depending on whose statistics you see, 40% of successful ransomware attacks can be attributed back to something we actually knew about. So step one, you just got to get rid of the vulnerabilities and remediate against the things that we actually already know about. So we do some really amazing things there. The next thing you have to make sure happens is, all the tools I'm relying on to protect me against the things that I don't know about yet, 0-day and so on. So endpoint protection, XDR, those tools have to be deployed, running, operational, updated at all times. And so we have an amazing set of self-healing capabilities, again, based in that firmware based persistence we have, where we can assure that those tools are deployed, running, operational, and updated, and protecting you at all times from all the stuff that you don't know about. Uh, then, look, at the end of the day, this is software. None of it's perfect. You could still have what we call the proverbial bad day. So if despite doing your level best to make sure everything is protected, make sure all your protective tools, detection and response are running and operational, you could still possibly have an incident. Again, that could even just be an IT incident, not necessarily a cyber incident. That's where the Rehydrate capability we were talking about comes into play, because you then can be assured that no matter what, even if that operating system, other tools on it are corrupted, crashing, impaired, we can still bring that endpoint back to a healthy and fully operational state. And so it's really about those two parts. Do everything you possibly can to prevent something bad from happening in the first place and make sure you're resilient from that perspective. And then secondly, if you nevertheless have the bad day, how do I quickly, with as close to zero downtime, bring those endpoints back to a fully operational and trusted state?
Yeah, I remember seeing the demo the first time live, which was a real-time thing going on. It wasn't something contrived. It wasn't something that we made up. You really did it. And everybody was just kind of in awe that, wow, we're actually being able to fix a whole fleet of, PCs out in the field, virtually almost unlimited number with a click, right, and through a remote capability. It
Yeah.
really is amazing. And I mean, if anything stops downtime, right, it's that. I don't know what else can. But thanks for that explanation. We're definitely leading there. Another thing that we did that was really exciting this last quarter was some expansions into marketplaces and some integrations. One of them was with ConnectWise. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that means and what it brings to the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we think about these great set of capabilities we have, a lot of our customers are just large and very large organizations, massively sized enterprises, lots of resources, lots of people. And by the way, even they are strapped. So even the customers we have that have hundreds of thousands of endpoints and employees, even they can't find enough people, enough time to do all the things that they need to do. So when you think about a much smaller organization, so small, medium-sized business, maybe mid-market, they are super, super reliant on MSPs and MSSPs to deliver services to them. They just don't have the IT staff, the expertise to do that themselves. So we are very excited to have integrated with the ConnectWise platform, and in particular, the remote management and monitoring platform, Azio, which thousands of MSPs are using to provide services and deliver services out to those small, medium-sized businesses. And so what we've been able to do, partnering with ConnectWise, is integrate our Rehydrate capability, our patching and remediation capabilities, are basically our full stack of all the resilient tools we have into the Azio RMM platform. So with one touch, the MSPs using that platform or MSSPs using that platform can deploy those capabilities out to the often small and medium-sized businesses that they're serving. So it really, there's this kind of notion out there of what folks call the sort of cybersecurity poverty line, where these smaller organizations just can't get their hands on the same tools and people often as the larger organizations. So by making it really easy and cost effective for MSPs to bring this set of capabilities out to that marketplace, they can also be just as protected as largest healthcare company, largest bank. And so we're really happy to do that work because we feel this set of capabilities we have there around stopping downtime and resilience are just as important for the smallest organization as for the very largest. And everybody should be able to take advantage of those capabilities in a simple way.
Yeah, it's super exciting to see what Absolute Security is doing to enable the largest of enterprises, to your point, down to, the SMBs to be able to have all of those capabilities that allow them to really not just survive, but thrive in the modern threat and digital landscape, especially when it comes to stopping downtime. So good stuff going on out there. So John, it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and what security conversation would be complete if it wasn't mentioned? By now, we're all getting hammered with messages, advertisements, you name it, from all different directions. What do you do to cut through the noise? And what advice do you have for folks that are trying to make good decisions, especially when they're just getting, like I said, hit from all different directions?
Yeah, well, I think the best advice I can give is don't treat cybersecurity and awareness of your posture and your exposure like a pumpkin spice latte. In other words, those things, fine. We can do them in October and maybe even September now, maybe November, but please let's stop. We really don't need pumpkin spice lattes throughout the entire year. Cybersecurity and awareness, a little bit different. So I guess I wasn't aware that we could only be aware of cybersecurity, our posture, our hygiene, how well we're doing. Do we have the tools to recover if something bad happens? Are our shields up? Do I have my hygiene right? I kind of think that's in every month, every day kind of awareness that folks could have, and that's really would be my advice. Enjoy the pumpkin spice latte. That's fine. Do it this time of year, but really to have that posture and that mindset around cybersecurity and that visibility into where you are. That's really, and it starts there. I would say focus on that visibility, understanding your posture, because if you don't know where you are there, it's impossible to do the remediation and all the other things that, again, prevent that downtime as much as possible up front and then recover when you need to.
Well, if the right enterprise sees this, I'm sure it's only a matter of time before we get a cyber spiced latte at some point, right?
Oh,
And given
no.
we're headquartered in Seattle, it would only be appropriate. So anyway, before we close, John, is there anything you'd like to add to the conversation? Maybe there's a question that I haven't asked that I should have asked, but just anything as we get off here.
Well, look, I'll just kind of go back and have folks just, again, focus on these kind of, critical steps. It's all about, understanding your posture, take care of the stuff that we already know is out there. I mean, that's the simplest way to get yourself, in a good place to begin with. Make sure the tools that you're relying on to protect you against things you don't yet know about are always operational and deployed. And then thirdly, you just have to assume the bad day is coming, not if it's coming. And then you have to ask yourself, what would I do if operating system, all the tools I typically rely on to manage and deploy those endpoints just were not available to me. What would I do? So I would just leave folks with that. Think about it through those kind of three critical steps, and then see if you can find solutions out there, whether from Absolute or somebody else to help you with that.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, John.
Thank you, Joe. Really appreciate it, and enjoy the cyberspace latte.
Cyber
I'll be
spice
looking
latte.
forward to it.
I'm not a pumpkin spice latte guy. I'm a straight black coffee guy with just a tiny bit of cream added to it. But I think that if I did ever see cyber spiced latte, obviously I would have to try
You would
one,
have to
right?
try one. Well,
Given the industry. So, all right.
I know some folks here in Seattle in the business. I'll see what I can do about that.
That would be awesome. Anyway,
M-
okay. Well, thanks again, and thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you soon.